right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for another episode of Boss Up with Mr. Key. And today we have a really special guest. Not only is she my sister, one of my closest friends, she's also an actress, a writer, a producer, and just a serial entrepreneur. Without further ado, I want to introduce to the audience Cherie Johnson. Hey, Cherie, how are you?
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no worries. Thank you for coming and taking time out of your day to come deal with me and my crew. So,
look, you call them coming. You already know that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So just to give you a backdrop of what we're going to do today, it's Boss Up with Mr. Key. And so, like, you're like the ultimate hustler. When I see what you're doing, I see you out there, and maybe there's a little girl or a little boy or an adult out there listening that might say, hey, you know what? She just gave me some gems. If she can do it, her story's like mine, I can do it too. So without further ado, let's go back to when you were in Pampers. Where was that at?
I was in Pampers in a small town outside of Pittsburgh called Duquesne.
Duquesne, Pittsburgh?
Yes, it's a little steel mill town in Pennsylvania. Well, it's not, the steel mill's closed now, but we don't have nothing but a place called Kennywood, which is like our magic mountain.
Oh, wow.
And then we have one grocery store and it's Giant Eagle, and that's it. We don't got nothing else.
In a little town like that? Yes. That's where your origins are from?
Yes, it's about 7 streets long.
Wow. I think I was in Pittsburgh or Philadelphia or something, Yorkstown or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like one steel mill and a bunch of farms. Was that kind of close to?
No, mine is more like Brick City and projects.
Oh,
we ain't got no grass. What up, Duquesne?
Concrete jungles.
I'm from the hood.
Oh, man.
They said a long time ago it used to be a really nice neighborhood. And then the white people burned down our library because they didn't want black people swimming in the pool.
Isn't that something?
And once that kind of happened, and the steel mill closed, when the steel mill closed, everything.
Took all the jobs.
Yeah.
Man, there we go again. It's kind of like Black Wall Street. Like as soon as it's flourishing, hey, they're doing too much over there.
Right.
Okay. So you walked around those streets for about how many years before you relocated?
6.
6
When
years.
I moved to California, I was 6 years old.
Now, what made you and your family move to California?
My mom wanted to give me a better life. Her sister had moved to California. At that time, she married a man who was an executive producer of TV shows like Laverne and Shirley, The Odd Couple, The Jeffersons, Mork and Mindy, Happy Days. He was doing The Jeffersons at the time, and he had just created Silver Spoons.
Man, dude was plugged. Like, those are some of my favorite shows. I'm showing my age, but like back in the day, Jeffersons, Mork and Mindy, yeah, those were the shows. So you all moved out there. Your aunt was married to this guy, right?
My aunt married him. My uncle David, who I adore, he quickly became like one of my favorite people in the world, and he kind of said I was his muse. And he used my relationship with him and wrote this show called Punky Brewster.
Wow. So you inspired that.
I inspired it, but he had no intention on me playing my name, Cherie.
Oh, why? What happened? Why would he do that?
Well, he just, he used to tell me to hurry up and get ready. And I would hurry up and get ready, and I'd come to the door and he'd be like, boo, you got on 2 different shoes. And I'd be like, but I got 2 different feet. What's wrong with 2 different shoes? So he used that and created Punky.
Right.
And then he made her best friend Cherie because it was just the name.
Yeah,
is what
was catchy name, good name.
Yeah, it was a good name. But he had sold the show to NBC and was like, hey, the job's not yours. But he gave me the script and said, read it, and asked me, what do you think? And I was like, when do we go to work?
Man, even then you were like a sassy little kid. Ladies and gentlemen, I know her daughter, so I see exactly probably what she was like as a youngster.
Absolutely. She's totally like me. I believe I manifested my whole life. And for me, I was like, it's my name. How are you going to hire somebody else to do my name? And he was like, well, you have to audition. And I did 7 times. I was 6.
And you're 6 negotiating like, hey, this is my role.
I had 2 choices. Negotiate that I was going to go to work with my favorite person in the world or go to school. And I really felt like the curriculum at school wasn't challenging me enough, and it was wasting my time.
Yeah.
So I needed a job.
Wow.
And I didn't just need a job. I needed that job because my aunt gave me a job watering her plants, but she fired me.
What did Mama think while this was going on?
Actually, Mommy didn't even really know what was going on because we had just got to California. So she was trying to like transition and get a job and start a career for herself. So my aunt and uncle were my babysitters. My aunt actually snuck me to the first audition without telling her.
What was that like, being in front of people reading the script?
I paid it no attention because when I walked in, it was like, 10 guys sitting in chairs waiting to watch you. But my uncle was sitting in the chair.
Oh, so did you just focus on your uncle? Or?
I didn't focus on any of them. I focused on getting my lines right because I needed that job.
Man.
Honestly.
What 6-year-old is so tenacious where it's like, I'm getting this is mine, I'm owning it?
Well, I had been to work with him and I had watched Ricky Schroeder work and I could read really early. So my uncle would hand me a script and say, hey, any words that they get wrong or whatever they miss out on, make sure you highlight it so I know. So I thought I had a really important job.
Oh.
He was just keeping me quiet,
right.
but I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought I had a job. And so I had watched other actors like Aaron Gray, who I fell in love with, who was on the show with Ricky and Alfonso Ribeiro. I had watched them work. So I told my uncle many times, I could do that. I could do that.
So you were kind of like a natural. Did you take any classes or acting courses?
My mom made me take acting classes after I had a job,
okay.
but I quit.
You're like, I'm already working. I can do this.
Well, the thing that happened was they were Saturday mornings, right? I worked Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday were my days. So my mom took me to this acting class on Saturday, and this man handed me the script, and it was Heidi. What? And it was like 100 and something pages. I had to go to work on Monday. So I had to learn my own script.
I was like,
I told him, I'm not doing this.
Right.
It's a waste of my time. It's too much work and it's too much for me to think about. And I told her I wasn't going back. So
somebody was repossessed in your soul. Like at 6 years old, 7 years old, doing all this. Some older lady was one of your ex-aunts or one of your ancestors came back and was like, look.
My family told me that there was nothing in this world that I couldn't do. And if I wanted it, no sometimes didn't mean no. It meant not right now. And there was nothing that I couldn't do. I was crazy enough to listen to them and to truly believe them.
They sowed that seed in you really early.
Yes, totally.
Okay, so you obviously wooed them on the audition
7 times.
7 times.
I had to go in 7 times.
What was that about? Is that standard?
It's callbacks. They auditioned girls in Chicago. They auditioned girls in New York. So they were seeing everybody, from everywhere.
Did they know they wanted a little black girl for that part?
They did.
Well, wait a minute. You're black and Puerto Rican?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they did. They did know they wanted like some kind of nappy head.
Yeah, I'm a Latino all day. But they wanted a black girl and they wanted Soleil to be white.
Okay.
And Soleil and I actually met at the first audition. We became friends.
And then connected from that point.
Yes.
Was she just as like sassy and savvy as you were back then? Or you like...
She was more professional
and
quiet. Because her brother was in the business. So she was already like very, trained and she'd watch her brother go through the process. But waiting in the waiting room until we went in, we started drawing, laying on a chair with each other.
It's kind of like, what are you drawing? Okay, hey, I can draw that too, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, all right, so you did the show. And for those, again, it's Punky Brewster. Check it out. Google it. YouTube it.
We're on Peacock, baby.
Peacock.
Yes,
right.
And the reboot is on there too. So you get to see us growing together again.
See, yeah. We're going to get to the reboot. So, okay, you did that show. How long did it go on for?
4 years.
4 years. Man, it seemed like it was aired longer than that.
It was. We were in syndication. And we ran, I believe, like 6 years.
So how many hours a week did you work as a child?
Oh, I had a good old 9 to 5.
Just 40 hours, like boom.
Yeah.
And 40 hours get you one episode? Or?
Yes.
Wow.
We worked Monday through Friday. I was at work at like 9 o'clock in the morning. I was out at 6.
So for, sitcom life, do you just basically do the whole show first, then they air it, and then you're working on season 2? Is that how it works?
We're about 3 weeks ahead of schedule.
Oh, 3 weeks.
Yeah. So by the time you guys see something air, we shot it.
You already had
like 3
2 or
weeks
3
ago.
weeks. Yeah. Live studio audience?
We did. We used to shoot 2 studio audiences a day. We had a afternoon show and a late night show.
What was that like? Like seeing these people, that they really have like laugh now signs and stuff like that?
They do. They have like these applaud signs and laugh. And then there's a guy who like warms up the audience who will sit there and...
What studio was that at?
We were at NBC.
NBC. So did you run and bump into like Arnold and Willis from Different Strokes?
So I totally hung out with Gary Coleman.
Oh, wow.
He was my ace boon coon. And I love Gary because actually when I met him later on in life, Gary said, I can't believe you're still doing this. I can't believe you're still in Hollywood. He said, do me a favor. Best advice of my life. He said, get out of here. One day, get out of here. Take some time and live for yourself.
Why did he say that? What was it about?
He was right. For me, about 37 years in, I started feeling suffocated. And he knew that time would come.
Yeah, he knew that time would come because he's been there. He saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, for anyone that's aspiring to be an actor or an actress, would you recommend that, hey, get in, but make sure you take some time out for yourself?
You know, I think I'm lucky. Okay. You know my mama. So I come from a family who never really cared about Hollywood. Right. And I was more like Holly from the hood instead of Hollywood. So I stayed very grounded. I had a life, and that was just my job. So, you know. How
many times did Mama have to curse some people out on the studio
set? Me out. Mom was there. And that's one thing I can say. I got very lucky because there was never a time that I was on set where my mother was not present.
That's good. And that's another thing. Like people, like the whole R. Kelly thing, and I won't get too deep, but like how do you leave your kids unattended?
Well, some of the mothers groomed their children.
To try to like, hey, you're our lottery ticket type of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's not right, especially in that industry, because it seems like it'll swallow you up and spit you out really quick.
Unfortunately, a lot of the times trafficking starts at home.
Wow. That's key. Like I hadn't thought about that, but you're right.
Oh, I watched it.
And the people that are closest to you will serve you up, huh?
Yep.
Wow, man. So, all right. So we did Punky Brewster. And then after that, what was next? I kind of know, but let's see. Well, what was next?
The big next or like just...
Yeah, let's say after that.
After that, I did Days of Our Lives for 6 months. And then I went on and I did a pilot with Martin Lawrence.
Really?
Yeah, that didn't go. And Vanessa Bell Codway called It's a Bit Strange.
What was that about?
It was actually Sabrina the Teenage Witch in black version.
With Martin?
Yeah.
Wow.
But they weren't ready to see black witches on TV, so we didn't get picked up. Topper Carew, who went on to do the Martin show, the executive producer, was a producer of that. And then shortly after, I got a job on a little show called Family Matters.
Yeah, Family Matters. I grew up with that one too.
Thank you.
I love that show. So on Family Matters, what was the difference between being on the set as, you know, Punky Brewster set versus Family Matters?
For me, huge difference. The age difference was one. So now I know I'm working. On Punky, I had no idea it was a job. Like I was running around having the time of my life. And they really let us be kids.
The studio hands weren't yelling, hey, get over here, stop running around.
No, they were like, we bought you guys a bike. Yeah, it was totally different. It was like, you know, here's some hula hoops. We got skates. We rode our skates through Johnny Carson's set. What? Like, yeah, Soleil and I, we were bad.
Terrorists.
But NBC at the time, we had a great president. He was Brandon Tartikoff. He really loved children. He was a father, and he believed in letting kids be kids. Good. So not that Family Matters didn't do that, but we were older. Yeah, you were teenage, years at that point, right? Yeah, we were teenagers. We were driving to work. So it was kind of like we knew we had a job. We still played. Me and Darius go hard. We still played. And then Sean was there, who was also on Punky Brewster. He was my first like little love interest ever on screen in life, and then ended up being my boyfriend for 8 years.
In real life?
No, on
on the show. Yeah. Waldo?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Waldo Faldo. Oh, man, that's crazy how things come full circle. So let me ask you this, because we're Boss Up with Mr. Key. So think about this, from when you did the first show and then there were some things in between and then Family Matters. When did the business side of the industry start to click?
When Family Matters was over.
Oh, wow.
I was a kid. I was just kind of going through the motions. You know, people were watching the show, but for me, I never watched the show because it came on Friday nights. We shot Friday nights. But me and Darius was trying to hurry up and get out of there because we was going to the club.
It's like, we get up out of here. We had a real life still.
I had a real life and I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just kind of going through it. It's not until Punky and Family Matters were over that I was like, I'm going to need to do something with my life. What is that? And then you have to figure out, am I going to keep acting? Because that's not what I wanted to do initially.
You were burnt out from it, or what?
No, I never wanted to be an actor. It was never my game plan. I always wanted to be an architect.
Wow, it's crazy. I'm telling my daughter, be an architect. I want you to design the first hotel that the family buys.
That's totally what I wanted to do. I thought that I was going to be building beautiful big buildings and bridges. Yeah.
I did not know that. Wow.
Interesting. That's why I'm so into breaking down walls.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, any house you take this woman into, she will redesign it, tear down a wall, redo the kitchen. That's the first thing she thinks about.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. So we go back and, first of all, I for the audience out there, I want to know too, Jaleel, Steve Urkel, what was his real name? Jaleel White?
Jaleel White.
Was he really annoying in person like he was on the show? No comment?
No, I was it's kind of hard to ask me that because we kind of grew up like siblings, because we were all kids. So it was Kelly and Darius and not really Sean. Sean was a little bit older and more mature than we were. But Darius and Jaleel were very much like brothers to me.
How many times you beat them up?
A lot.
Oh, okay.
A lot. But we also loved each other.
Good.
I could beat them up, but nobody else can.
Are you all still family? Would you say that?
I don't talk to Jaleel, but if there was an issue, I'd show up. Jaleel and I don't talk. Sean and I talk almost every day.
Oh, nice.
Kelly and I talked to Kelly's stepmother this morning.
Nice.
We talk occasionally. I haven't seen her in a very long time. But Darius, that's my husband. I see him all the time.
Are they still mostly in California, or are they all over?
They're all over. Kelly lives in D.C.
Oh, nice. Chocolate City.
And Darius, I don't know. It depends on the day where he is.
We got to get him to Texas for a while to come visit.
He comes, but he just don't sit down long. He was in Miami and then he was in Vegas. And he's kind of like my butterfly.
He moves around and records it for you because I know you just lay low. So wait a minute. Let's go back. Let me catch that. So after the show, you started learning about the business. Exactly. Kind of give me a few tidbits of what that looked like.
Well, I'll tell you my journey and I'll make it quick. After the show was over, I started auditioning and I couldn't get a job to save my life.
Why do you think that was? Did they pit so many?
I was a little girl from Punky Brewster and the little girl from Family Matters. And I was that little girl, but I was really in my mid-20s. They just saw me in a cheerleading uniform for 10 years. And it was they weren't going to let me play a drug dealer. They weren't going to let me. So finally in December, I landed a job and that was on the Parkers.
Oh, I remember that show.
Yes. And then after I did the Parkers, I was like, I got to do something. But I was ready to stop auditioning. And I realized I needed to take my career into my own hands. I went home, had a long talk with my uncle, who's very much like my mentor, and I started producing films.
Nice. Producing films. Where'd you get that game from? Just being on the set for most of your life as a kid, or? From
learning. Actually, there's a director who's doing extremely well right now. His name is Dion Taylor.
Dion Taylor.
Who I'm totally proud of. Dion and we were in Colorado going to a football game. And as we were driving up this mountain, he was telling me how we needed to do this horror story and da-da-da-da-da. And he was going to write this horror story. And I was like, write it. And he wrote it. Him and Brian Hooks got together and wrote it. I produced it.
Wow.
I convinced them that they needed to start directing. And we walked through every scene together, and that it took off from there. It just
took off to the next level.
Yeah.
Wow. So in between there, and we're going to get back to the movies and the producing, but I also see you, your daughter has a book out.
Yeah.
You sell, books. I mean, you sell products.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a brand. And so, when did you realize that, hey, I can do this too?
I always wanted to be a writer. And I think when I couldn't get a job acting, because I was being typecast, I started writing stuff, right? And I always told my mom that I was going to be an author. And so I was like, well, I need to publish my book. I started publishing. My daughter started publishing. And it just turned into a whirlwind. Writing became my therapy.
Nice.
And people always ask me, well, what do you like to do better? Do you like to write, or do you like to produce, or do you like to act? And the way I put it is, acting is my marriage, right? It's what I've done the longest. It's what I'm tied to. It's how everybody knows me.
Right.
Producing is my misdoor. And I love him because he challenges me.
Nice.
Right? But writing is my therapy that keeps my marriage and my misdoor very happy.
How do you stay inspired to do all three of those things, actually? Like, what
I can be inspired by anything. Something you can say can just sit in my head later, and I can write a whole story about it.
Wow. Have you experienced writer's block at any point?
Absolutely. I don't write on demand. I write when I want.
That's the best way to do it, right?
Yeah. I can't do it on demand. And then I'm also a certified nutritionist, and I own a wellness center in Miami called Keon.
Nice.
Which stands for keeping it all natural.
See? Hustler. Well, I don't like hustler. That diminishes.
No. You can call me
boss,
hustler.
CEO. That is better.
Well, I've been a CEO since I was 6.
Yeah, see, you've been your own brand, right?
Pretty much.
So what are some of the pitfalls? We talked about your colleague and your good friend was like, hey, you need to like make sure you take some time out.
Yeah.
For someone aspiring to kind of go in your footsteps, give me some information that you would tell them that you think would be valuable.
Oh, the biggest thing is if you want to be an actor, you only land one job out of 100 auditions. So don't take those 100 no's as it ain't happening. Take it as a not right now, like I was taught when I was a kid. And if you keep going, something is going to give. And manifestation is so huge.
For real.
Anything you can see yourself with, you can have.
Good question. So that's good. I like that.
Yeah, you have to, I didn't know what manifestation was, and I didn't know what the secret was. I was just telling my niece about this, who's out there. The other day, I was having a conversation with my friend Andre, and not this Andre, but another Andre. And Andre sat me down and he said, have you ever heard of The Secret? And I was young and dumb. I was like, what secret?
You being modest. Hold on. Andre, Dr. Dre?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, you being modest. All right, go ahead. Finish your story.
And I was like, what secret? And he was like, The Secret. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, you need to read the book. So I sat down and I read the book, The Secret, and I realized, oh, the law of attraction, manifestation, this is how I've lived my whole life, but I didn't know there was an actual name for it. And he told me anything you want, just visualize it, write it down, see yourself with it, and you can have it.
Do you take yourself in a happy place, a quiet place, or how do you focus on seeing yourself in this visual?
I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning before everybody else in my house does, while it's still quiet. And I spend an hour to myself.
That's good.
And that hour is spent, the first 10 minutes, I'm thinking of what I want to do for my day. The next 10 minutes is kind of just like focusing and visualizing myself do it. I mean, I visualize everything.
Yeah.
I thought it was anxiety because I do have anxiety, but I think it's a way that I've coped with it, where if I'm going on a trip, I visualize myself actually packing my luggage.
Each step of the trip.
Everything.
Wow.
Whether it's taking a shower, brushing my teeth, homeschooling my daughter, I visualize the whole day. And then I visualize what I want to accomplish that day.
Nice. How many years would you, well, that's really systematic and that's a good way to do it. But had you always done it that way, or was it just kind of natural?
I mean, once he handed me the script, the Punky Brewster script, nobody was doing it but me, because I visualized myself playing my own
that
name.
Road. Oh, nice. That's nice. So, I mean, there you have it right there. I like to do the same thing, get up. My thing is kind of like staring in the sun and close my eyes, and that'll give me like a backdrop in my mind. And then I just place myself doing the things that I want to do and, helping the people I want to help. And it's never about money with me, though. I don't visualize rolling around in dough.
Right. Me neither.
Yeah. I visualize myself doing the things I love, helping the people. And if you are good at it, then money is just
the money will come. But think
yeah.
about it. Even so, Andre, I'm gonna tell secrets. Andre helped me find my dream house, right? But I had visualized it. I knew what I wanted. Remember, I drove you crazy because I knew in my head.
I was like, we're never gonna find this damn house.
But what happened?
It came, boom. You just happened to ride by it and was like, hey, I went in and this is it.
And it's it. It was I had made a blueprint and put it under my bed 2 years prior from us finding it.
Wow.
And in the process of moving, I found the blueprint of the house and bust out laughing because it's exactly what I got.
Exactly. I mean, we were going in houses and she was like, I could just tear out a wall and add a bathroom on the back porch to make it my dream house. And I'm like, that's a lot. But this one, boom.
But you remember what you told me. You said, be patient.
Be patient.
Be patient. Yeah. Don't be hasty. Don't settle. What you want will come when it's supposed to. That came from
right
you.
Right on time. You're right. And it did just drop. And everything kind of worked out right on time.
Yes.
So that was good.
Because there were so many that I thought that I wanted that I got outbidded for, remember?
Yeah, that's exactly true. Think about some of those houses. If you would have won the bid, how unhappy you would have been.
Oh, yeah. We'd still be in construction. For sure.
You'd be living in a construction zone. Good. So manifestation is a key. Visualizing what you want, talking about it. How do you do it when, like, do you voice to others like, hey, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to be?
It depends. I'm very quiet about who I voice my ideas and opinions to. I voice them to you because you're like-minded. I voice them to Andre because he's like-minded. But even my own family, I don't share my ideas and my thoughts with all of them because their vision is not my vision.
It's not. People will crush your dreams really quick. Like,
absolutely.
Why would you want to do that? And what are you thinking?
And they talk you out of it.
Yeah, they do. When did you learn that, like, okay, I'm keeping this to myself at this point?
A long time ago. You know, being an actress, it's really a dream, right? So when you tell people, one day I want to play this, and one day I want to get killed in a movie, and one day I want to get raped, and I want to have a threesome on film. People don't understand those things.
Yeah.
And, you know, why would you want to do that?
It's like, hey, it's art, and that's where I see myself taking my career. Yeah. But think about it. You mentioned you came from the hood. I did too. And unfortunately, there's a lack of vision in the hood by design, by ancestry, by, slavery and the things that was done to our culture. But you broke through that.
Well, especially money. Like, you can't take money advice from somebody who's never had money.
That is so true. That's true.
You can't take investment advice from somebody who's never invested. Yeah. And I learned that very early because there were some moves that I should have made that I did not make because people who had never made them scared me.
I was going to ask you that. How do you overcome fear? Because there's always some fear to trying to do these things.
Success and failure go hand in hand. I can't tell you how many times I failed. The bottom line is I'm not scared to.
You're not scared.
No, I've gotten really good at it. You know some of my failures. When I fail big. Nice. But when I win even bigger, and it makes up for my failures.
Man, it feels so good when you do that. And it's kind of back to the 100 no's till you get a yes or whatever. Yeah. That's the same mentality I took with my business. Hey, I'll talk to 100 people, talk about real estate. They'll hang up in my face, say no. But I know that, hey, once I get to 101, bing, I'm going to get it. And it kind of was true to form. And they went from 100 no's to one yes. To 75 to 50. And now people just reach out to me. So, it'll grow that way the same way I envisioned it. So
and I rather self-sabotage myself than let somebody else sabotage me or handpick me or hinder me. Like, if I go out and I lose my money, it's because I gambled it.
Right.
But it was a choice that I made rather than somebody taking it from me.
Let me ask you this, though. Yeah. You manifest a lot of things in your life, and I've witnessed it firsthand. But about your circle, it feels like it's pretty small. Do you keep it like that on purpose?
It's extremely small. Absolutely. They say the closest 5 people to you is who you become. There's a lot of people I don't want to become. And if I don't admire their life and I don't admire the steps that they take, I'm not hanging around them.
You're not hanging around.
No, I don't want to be with a bunch of women who cheat on their husband or a bunch of men who cheat on their wives. I don't want that in my life. I don't, God forgive me, I got a lot of friends who used to be broke, you know what I'm saying? But I can't hang out with y'all because y'all make me broke too because I always got to pay for breakfast and lunch and dinner. Right. When I got here, Andre brought me a sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Not that I wouldn't buy him one, but it's nice for somebody to return it to you sometimes. And when you hang out with all broke people, you don't get that because I'm always the one that got to foot the bills. I can't spend my time with you.
Did you ever feel like survivor's remorse? I'm sure there was a transition when you kind of transitioned to started making money and had those broke or older friends that you wanted to hold on to. But did you feel a little survivor's remorse? Like, hey, I need to.
Absolutely not. And let me tell you why. Because my phone didn't ring anymore when I wasn't going to the club. And they didn't have to, that now they had to stand in line because I didn't want to go, or I wasn't paying for free dinners anymore. They weren't calling me or looking for me.
So that taught you a lesson like, hey, what are they really around for, right?
I was sitting down with my friend, Andre, and he looks at me one day and he said, how many of them have ever bought you dinner? And I looked at him and I was like, wow, you.
Wow, see?
Yeah. And it was like him and Antoine and, a few others and Jocelyn. And those are the ones that that are around now.
Yeah.
Besides from that, the rest of them had to go.
How do you, being, an actress, a producer, having your face, like you have a nice following, how do you avoid the weirdos?
Oh, I don't. They're there. They're definitely there.
What's the weirdest? Give me a story that like some weird guy.
Oh, well, I lived in Woodland Hills at one point, not far from the Kardashians. And I was sitting in my bedroom and I felt somebody looking at me. And I was like, what is that? You look out your window, and I looked out my sliding glass door and he was staring at me. He had came in and unscrewed the sensor lights in my backyard so that he could watch me and I didn't see him there. So statistically, just to let you know, from the time I was 6 years old, every 7 years, I got a stalker, right? The stalker's around for a couple of years. Every 5 years, they threaten your life. So once I moved away from my mother's house, I moved every 5 years just to keep me safe.
Just kind of keep it moving. No routine that someone can follow and track.
And they do. They show up at your house.
Man.
The internet is the devil. And, everybody's findable. And when they want you, they find you. I've had people threaten. When they came to my house, I called the police. They found duct tape, ropes, and gloves in my backyard.
What?
Yeah, and he had said he was coming to rape me.
People are sick, man. Gosh.
Absolutely.
And I remember like just helping you look for a property, and somebody had gotten wind of it and started messaging you. Oh, la la la, you're gonna move here? And I'm like, what?
And unfortunately, like I should have did a NDA before I moved last time.
Yeah.
Because the other agent told all the neighbors that I was
builder.
moving in. Yeah, they told all the neighbors I was moving in. And
lesson learned. That's something like anybody out there, remember to do an NDA if you are going to go with somebody that you don't know. Or
it was the other agent.
Yeah, it was the other agent. He was just kind of like, hey, yeah, he recognized you, and then it went from there.
He Googled me.
He Googled
from the name on the contract.
Yes, he did. He did. And then he just started spreading the word and tried to act like, oh, I don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
Man, so let's fast forward. So you did some things, and then as of late, I think during COVID, you did the Punky Brewster reboot, right?
Yeah, we did.
What was that like working during COVID?
It was amazing. For me, it was a challenge. I felt bad for, our production team because they're the ones that had the hard time. Soleil and I were playing. They COVID tested 180 people 2 times a day.
Oh, my God.
That's hella expensive. And it's a lot. We had to wear masks and shields.
And then when it was time to shoot, take it off and then put it back on.
But our whole crew had masks and shields on the whole entire time.
Talking about a lot of sweaty faces. Gosh.
Literally. And our makeup team was not allowed on set. So it was really challenging for everybody else. I think I just had so much fun. And I just loved seeing Soleil every day. I didn't care.
That was lovely, huh?
Yeah.
And you kind of stepped outside of your range a little bit. Maybe not, but I think you kissed a girl.
It wasn't my first time kissing a girl on screen.
Oh, okay.
But I did. Not only did I kiss a girl, but I got engaged. I fell in love. It was my first time falling in love.
How much does art imitate life?
You mean, have I ever kissed a girl in real life?
Like, have you ever fell in love with a girl in real life?
No, just Jalissa Lynn. Jalissa Lynn is the love of my life. I totally adore her. My mama totally adores her. And she's the first girl that I kissed on screen, but Media Takeout posted it and 750,000 people looked at it in an hour to see if I was gay or straight.
Oh my gosh.
And so Jalissa and I will forever have that bond because she was in New York and I was in LA and she called me oh my God, boo. I was like, what? She's like, we're famous. And I was like, what?
Y'all are basically married.
Oh, she's
750 people's house.
Literally.
Thousands.
And she was so cute. She was like, please tell your mom I said I'm sorry. And I was like, for what?
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I don't know how she's going to, react. And I said, oh my God, Jalissa, I'm sorry. Are your parents okay? She's like, I'm gay.
Oh, wow.
She's like, my parents know it's okay. And so it was totally cute.
So you did that, the reboot, and it was on Peacock, right?
Yes, it's on Peacock.
Is it still showing?
It is. Yes, you can catch all 10 episodes anytime you want. And I'm still, falsely holding on to hope that after everything settles down, they'll realize that they made a mistake and they'll let me come back and get married on screen.
Yeah, finish that out. Yeah, they definitely have to do that.
Yes, I at least want another season so that I can get married and we can find out if Punky and Travis get back together and what's going on with them kids.
There you go. We need to petition for that. I want to know. Inquiring minds.
I do want to know. At least give us like a Punky movie or something. Hey, Unc, are you listening? We need like a Punky movie.
So I think you've learned some stuff from being on set during the pandemic, and now you produce some films, and you told me something pretty interesting, like you're producing films virtually almost.
During the pandemic, you had to figure out a way. There's only so many people allowed on set. So like you get one producer on set, you get one writer, sometimes on set, sometimes they have to be in the ear.
Wow.
And your director, because you can't have a lot of people there. So I learned, how the big guys are doing it. Right. They are sitting home watching everybody, virtually producing. I love it.
Everybody can work from home now. You hear that? Anybody can work from home.
Yes.
I was doing like appointments with buyers and sellers virtually too, and I kept a little bit of that too. Like, you don't have time for me to come over? How about we just Zoom and we can look at each other face to face? I can show you my slide presentation, and we can do this from the comfort of our own homes.
I love it.
You took that to a whole nother level.
Yes.
How many films have you produced like that?
3.
3 films.
Yes.
Dang.
I love it. And I never, it's so funny because I got a job the other day as a producing job, and I was like, well, do I have to really come in? Because I figured out a way where I don't have to come in.
Yeah.
All you really have to do is put a phone on a tripod and let me watch.
Wow.
Let me talk to people. We'll have team meetings. I can still be there to run them.
Exactly. All they need is your voice, your vision, and you can do that with a camera phone nowadays. You
Absolutely.
can be there, not necessarily being there, right?
Yeah. Well, at first, it's so cute. We had hired... Sorry. We hired somebody and their whole job was to hold the phone up for me all day and hand the phone to people.
Hey, if you want to break through, like, hey, I would have took that job. It sounds like an intern job, but she actually got paid, huh?
She got paid, and she was so helpful and so sweet. She was my eyes and ears, on the set. But she lived there. She was local. It was cheaper to have her there than to fly me in, put me up, because it's not just me. It's like the whole family. And it worked out.
It worked out. Let me ask you this. Now that you're on the producer side, do you have an eye for talent? Like, can you see some people or a guy, girl, whatever, non-binary, whatever, and be like, man, I think I can cast you in a film.
Absolutely.
That it factor.
You know what it is? It's can you listen and can you follow direction?
Oh, simple steps.
Yeah. And do I believe you?
You'll be amazed at how many people can't do the first 2 things. Now, do I believe you? I don't know. There's a lot of con artists out there that can.
I know.
That's the inside jokes, ladies and gentlemen.
But if they can follow directions and, there's something interesting about them, for sure.
Nice. Hey, I added a new segment to the show, and this is the first time that I'm going to try this out with you. Here we go. The inaugural show idea that I came up. Wes doesn't even know about it. My producer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say a word, and I want you to just tell me kind of what it means to you or the first thing that comes to mind. Okay. It can be a sentence or a 1-word answer, but let's start with sitcom.
My life.
Wow.
My life has been a sitcom.
Interesting. Now you have to go a little deeper than that. Tell me why.
Well, because I've spent my whole life doing sitcoms, and every day in my house, the jokesters that I live with, it's a whole TV show.
Every day.
My daughter is a whole... My daughter told me today that she didn't want to do geography. she had a whole meltdown that she didn't want to do geography because, life is so short and she should spend it doing things that she enjoys. And right now, this is just not something that I want to do. I was like, this is not real life, right?
That was kind of a firm case, though. Like, how could you deny I could see Rhythm doing that. Like, I would have totally been a sucker. I'm like, all right, go ahead.
Well, yeah, but how long do you do that for? Like, it's about to be the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Finish this book.
All right, girl, we need to get these grades right now.
I'm trying to have a summer. Hot girl summer. I'm still cute. I want my bikini on.
All right, here we go. So that was sitcom. So the other word that I have is diversity.
Diversity. So important. I think the importance of diversity, most people actually miss because they don't know what it is. I think when you say diversity to white people, the first thing they think is black and white. Mm-hmm. It's bigger than that. Diversity is different thoughts, different cultures, melting them all together. It's not just black and white. But diversity is so big. Diversity is education.
Diversity is education. I like that. What about producing?
Happy chaos. It's like a wedding. It's like being a wedding coordinator, right? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. It's like HR. You're managing 180 people. That's 180 personalities. So I throw out an invitation. Some people accept, some people don't. And then we have to figure out how to make this project happen. It's just like a wedding.
You got to be a good team player to be able to.
You got to not take yourself seriously. And not take other people seriously and not take things personally.
Learn how to not give a beep.
Yeah. And I don't. Andre knows that. I have, I'm silly. And so I find the joke and the happiness in everything if I can.
So everything is always half full instead of half empty and woe is me. It's always, hey, you're always looking at the brighter side of things, right?
I laugh everything off. You have to. Or you end up like being stressed and having a stroke. I don't want that. I'm cute.
You don't want half of your face hanging off.
No, it is not that serious. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody's freaking out simply because their microphone lost batteries. Okay, somebody go get your batteries. Like, it's not that serious.
Yeah, I have this new thing like, hey, it's not going to send me to jail. It's not going to kill me. What the hell do I care for? Like, what?
I had to tell somebody one time, I was like, you guys need to calm down. We are entertaining people. We are not curing cancer. Nobody's going to die. It's not that serious.
Nice. Last word, happiness.
Oh, everything you should do should be to make you happy.
Should revolve around your happiness.
Yes. It doesn't matter what career you pick, how you spend your day. If saying yes to somebody else is going to make you unhappy, learn to say no and put your happiness first.
Nice. What if people say, are you selfish?
Yes.
You know it's going to come, right? If you live for your happiness, you're selfish.
And you know what? I have to be. Because if I'm not happy, nobody else is going to be happy either.
Preach. I like that one. All right. So one last thing. For anybody that's out there that is looking at walking a similar path to what you've done, it's different now because you can go on YouTube and become a star or whatever.
Yes.
Like, what word of advice would you give that person?
Have fun. Don't take your life so serious. Like I said, you're not curing cancer. You're trying to entertain somebody. Do what you want to do and do what makes you happy and whatever you can sleep with at night. Because there's those jobs that come that I can't sleep at night after doing them. So I don't do them. I say no.
You have to go with what vibes and what meshes with you, what meshes with your energy, right?
Cicely Tyson told me something a long time ago. I was a little girl. And she said, don't ever do anything that you're going to be embarrassed for your grandma to see. And so I went to my grandmother being funny. And that's where the rumors came from, probably about me doing Playboy. And I said, Grandma, what happens if I do Playboy? You going to be sad? Are you going to be ashamed? She said, no, you're going to bring me an autographed copy. I'm going to put your naked ass. Sorry.
We can curse.
She said, I'm going to put you on the wall. She said, I'm proud of all my kids.
Damn, I see where it came from. I see.
And so I laughed. And I was like, it was a big lesson, though, because I was like, well, okay, Grandma, that's not something that I would do. But it was a lesson. And my grandmother was basically saying, if you're okay with doing Playboy, then I'm okay with you doing it. Jalissa Lynn did Playboy.
Yeah, I saw that. Did you? When am I going to meet her? No, never mind. I don't want to
get her. She can come visit anytime she wants.
My takeaways definitely is envision what you want for your life.
Yes.
And don't take yourself too seriously.
No.
Like, be happy and enjoy the moment. Enjoy what God has given you, because I think you only have one time to be you on this earth.
That's exactly what my daughter was saying when she didn't want to do geography today.
She's on the show next. I need her on the show next.
She would come. Life is short, man. Yeah. Do what's going to make you happy and live for yourself.
I like it. Like a well said. Hey, Cherie, if anybody wants to find you on social media or any of your projects, this is your time to promote. Let them know where they can find your movies, where they can find you if you want to be found.
Oh, well, hey, you can find me everywhere on social media. I'm Cherie Johnson 75. You can go to therealcherie.com. You can check out my spa at keepingitallnatural.com. I got 6 movies out on Tubi, and I got a few books out on Amazon.
Nice. Tubi. Check that out. Amazon. Check her out. Andre, check me out here at Boss Up with Mr. Key.
Yes.
And to everyone out there, it's a wrap.